Both Jujutsu Kaisen and Demon Slayer are often compared on a regular basis. This is due to them being both new-gen animes and also being noteworthy for their mental animation quality and lovable characters. In terms of power scaling though, I don't think I need to be the one to tell you that Jujutsu Kaisen is much more OP, with Gojo having the limitless ability, and the likes of true form Sukuna being a threat to the entire world as we know it. Needless to say, Jujutsu Kaisen is generally the much stronger verse. However, unlike in many series, the main character isn't quite as strong as the god tiers of the verse. So that got me thinking, with Yuji Itadori being someone who hunts and kills curses, how would he do if he was teleported into the world of Demon Slayer? Could he solo the verse? And if not, how far does he go and what characters could he beat? For the purposes of this video, I will not be including Sukuna in this, as if I did it'd be a bit overkill, and I don't think I need to tell you who wins in that regard. So if you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, make sure to like and subscribe. I do have another video like this, that being Saitama versus all of Dragon Ball, but it won't quite be the same as that video. I generally wanted to go over every single way you could possibly scale Saitama, so no matter your opinion, you will get an answer. But with Itadori, it's not quite as complex, and there are different ways to scale him besides maybe speed, which I'll get to. And let's get on with how powerful is Itadori compared to Demon Slayer. To start, I'll go over Itadori's stuff so we can just compare him to Demon Slayer afterwards. To start, his attack potency, he was capable of killing Jogo. Jogo's domain expansion was so powerful it could create a large mountain of iron, which would require power equal to 6 or 2.67 gigatons of TNT, or class as large mountain level plus. And this should scale higher, or could possibly scale higher, than the likes of Dagon, capable of creating a small island. The bare minimum amount of power needed to destroy an island equal to 4.3 gigatons of TNT, yet every calc there ever is of this places it between city to mountain level, somehow. Itadori can further increase his power with the Black Flash, which on average multiplies his power by 2.5 times, which takes his AP up to between 6.68 gigatons to 10.75 gigatons. Even if you don't want to take Dagon's feat due to the lack of calcs on that level, the Black Flash could take Itadori up to island level anyways. As for speed, and Itadori and generally the Jujutsu Kaisen verse are pretty underrated. This is due to the most recent feat that would scale to Itadori, of Itadori scaling to Hikari, who is capable of dodging lightning point blank, which has calcs placing it at 3.6 million miles per hour, or roughly Mach 4760. You could debatably scale Itadori to this, or to the level of speed of the Black Flash, which is calced out to 7.7 million miles per hour, though it is questionable if Itadori can't scale to this himself, physically. In terms of abilities, Itadori does have a fair amount. Well, he does rely on Sukuna for the likes of regeneration and immortality. I mean, not really using that, as we said earlier. He does have other things such as martial arts, enhanced senses, non-physical interaction, weapons mastery, energy manipulation, chi manipulation, statistics amplification, limited spatial manipulation with a Black Flash, soul manipulation, and a high pain tolerance. He also has resistances to poison, possession, and soul manipulation. Granted, all of these are because of Sukuna, but they can still be applied to him, as it doesn't require Sukuna to be out for them to work, if that makes sense. A pretty big strength that Itadori has is that he also doesn't really have much in the way of weaknesses. At the beginning of the series, he was pretty unprepared for life or death situations, but across the series he's gained much more experience and confidence in that regard. Now moving on to Demon Slayer. Now, I could go over the lowest tier of demons and Demon Slayers along with the lower moons, but they are pretty irrelevant. This is due to the fact that the upper moon Gyutaro, who is capable of destroying a town with enough power to equal 5 or 9.52 kilotons of TNT. Granted, Gyutaro is relatively a mid-tier character overall in terms of power, but it still is higher than a fair amount of characters, which basically means that they'd be useless in terms of AP, as even Gyutaro is himself pretty much useless, much weaker than Itadori. Even if we take Itadori's lowest possible value, he would still be over 280,000 times more powerful than Gyutaro. So he's definitely one-shotting a lot of the verse already. The other main feat is of Muzan, shaking a town with an earthquake with power equaling 1.4 megatons of TNT. With this, the strength cap lowers down to 1.9 thousand times, but It's a pretty big jump, but still a huge margin regardless. The only other way you can scale Demon Slayer characters higher is through the use of the Demon Slayer Mark multiplier and statements of the Upper Moon toppling mountains. Now, I have made it clear in numerous videos in the past why these are questionable, but for the sake of argument and highballing Demon Slayer, I will give it to them. In order to topple mountains, the lowest amount of power required to do so would be equal to 1.5 megatons of TNT, with the only stated multiplier of the Demon Slayer Mark being of 100 times. This would make the max AP of Demon Slayer characters up to 150 megatons of TNT. But even with this, Itadori would still be 17.8 times more powerful. Granted, you could argue that many characters should upscale from this value, but it's to an unquantifiable amount, not to mention that we are highballing the ever-living crap out of Demon Slayer, while, lowballing Itadori almost. As for speed, on the other hand, the two big Demon Slayer feats consist of Muichiro slicing 10,000 fish at once, and Zenitsu blitzing lightning. The first feat was calculated to being as fast as 403,000 miles per hour, and Zenitsu's feat is calculated to 1.3 million miles per hour. While yes, the speed gap between Demon Slayer and Itadori is much smaller than the attack potency part, being between 2.62 times to 5.57 times, considering how fast Muichiro and Zenitsu are within Demon Slayer, it means that Itadori is going to be faster than pretty much all of them. Muichiro being one of the highest ranking Hashira, and Zenitsu being one of, if not the fastest character in the show, period. The only character you could argue that's on Itadori's level of speed is maybe the likes of Muzan, Tanjiro, with See-Through World, and Yoriichi. See-Through World grants the user perception amplification, information analysis, enhanced sight, analytical prediction, and enhanced precognition, being able to perceive their opponents in slower motion. Yoriichi, meanwhile, also has See-Through World, then is also able to keep up with Muzan and arguably blitz them as well. But again, this is to an unquantifiable degree. Even if they are on par with Itadori's speed anyways, Itadori can still just one-shot them with pure power. What about hacks? Well, through this, Demon Slayer does actually stand a chance. While Itadori could resist the likes of Shinobu and Gyutara's poison, the likes of Enmu's ability to force people into falling asleep, and Doma's ability to manipulate the air, making it lethal to breathe in, could be quite the problem for Itadori. So, if you were to say have a hypothetical fight with Itadori on one team and all of Demon Slayer on the other, you could argue that Doma and Enmu you could just sit at the back and attack when necessary and could win that way. The demons also have access to a pretty high regeneration factor, but considering they have a much lower durability stat than Itadori's AP, they'd get one shot before they could regenerate. Not to mention that Itadori can attack the soul as well, just to bypass that as well. So overall, how does it go? Well, in one-on-one fights, Itadori would basically solo the verse. If you have all of Demon Slayer fighting him at once, then you can make arguments that they could win, but at the same time, with Itadori's ability to one-shot everyone, Demon Slayer cast might still lose then. If you enjoyed this video, then make sure to like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.